Before we begin today's episode, I just want to take a look at a short clip from a video released by Q's Observationism. He feels he spotted something from last Friday's Flat Earth Friday.
This is what you show. With this camera angle trickery. This one is taken from the top. And this one more from the side. We can see that. Here we can see more of the back side. And it's not the same size. So, did I just expose your ass, Danny boy, with some camera trickery to convince people those Earth pictures are real? I already debunked your ass with that, and now again, piece of shit.
So Q believes that when I showed the two pictures of my globe, which I edited in the wrong way round by the way, thanks very much for those of you that spotted that one and let me know. He believes I used camera trickery by way of angle of photo to try and convince people that that's how it's done. So Q, just for you, here is a video moving from very close and zoomed out to far away and zoomed in. If we take screenshots from the beginning and the end of that video, the difference is clear. Hope that's enough for you, Q. Right, let's crack on with some Tinfoil Tuesday. Some conspiracies you hear of tend to be so ridiculous that you can't quite believe they're real.
You don't know, you damn well should know. My name is RagReynolds, and today I'm going to be investigating whether or not England is a real place.
Right, he said, is England a real place? We've hit the motherlode, people. Hello and welcome to another episode of Tinfoil Tuesday with me, Simon Dan. That was YouTuber RagReynolds, who quite unbelievably doubts the existence of my home country. I'm still unsure if RagReynolds is serious or just trolling the whole of the internet. He may be messing around, but the guy's too pompous and self-righteous to pass up on. Let's see if he's got any valid points or proofs for his claims.
So previously I have investigated whether or not Scotland is a real place.
In case you can't tell from his subtle accent, he is Scottish.
And obviously I have my 20 odd videos about whether or not Australia is a real place.
Okay, could be serious. This is an old one that people actually believe. And he's made 20 videos on the topic? I mean, who does that on just one thing?
But that has nothing to do with this video. This video is about whether or not England specifically, and a lot of people have requested that I make this video. There was even one guy who kind of gave the initial inspiration, gave the initial request, and it's a guy who made a video called England Exposed, and he had me do a little interview with him for that. And in that guy's video he says, oh, is England real, is it not real? And he tries to say that it is not real. But we're not going to be looking at that video. We're going to be thinking specifically about what I think, about the evidence I've seen, about what I know.
Okay, he's got evidence. This should be interesting.
And first off, the thing that pops to my mind is, well, it must be a real place. Surely it's a real place. I don't really see what could make it not a real place.
Well, yes, why would you not think that a country like England isn't real? A tiny little country with the 7th busiest airport in the world.
But then I started thinking a bit more. And first thing, what comes to mind when you think England? Okay, tea and crumpets? Okay, tea. What's with the tea obsession? It's a bit of a strange thing to be obsessed with. People all over the world are obsessed with lots of different things, different cultures of different things, but tea doesn't taste that great. I mean, it tastes not great.
At this point, I debated whether or not to continue. He can't diss tea like that, the stuff's bloody lovely. And anyway, just because we like tea, it doesn't mean we aren't real. And we're not even the biggest tea drinkers in the world. According to a recent list, we're third, Turkey and Ireland drink more tea than us.
And so you have to put milk and sugar in it to actually make it taste okay. The only people who drink black tea are people who are trying to show off. No one drinks black tea in private. People go out to a restaurant, out to a cafe, or they've got friends over and they say, oh, how do you want your tea? And they go, oh, I'll have it black. Oh, as if there's some sort of true English person trying to drink their tea the way it was supposed to be. But see, I guarantee you, when all their friends go away, they regurgitate all that tea and then they sit down, they make themselves another tea. Well, they're putting milk and sugar in that. No one drinks black tea when no other people are around. People only drink black tea to try and show off about how cool and how English they actually are.
I don't like tea without sugar or milk in it, so yeah. Besides, I know people that drink black tea all the time.
And you know, that got me thinking, and I started researching into tea and this name kept popping up, and hopefully someone in the comments can help me out here, but this name, Earl Grey, kept popping up, and I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out the answer to this. Who is Earl Grey? Who's Earl Grey? I googled who's Earl Grey, I couldn't find anything, so if someone could please let me know who Earl Grey is, I would really love to know, and I would appreciate it.
I googled Earl Grey. It's named after Charles Grey, who was an Earl, and also a Prime Minister in the 1830s. Wasn't that hard? You're welcome.
The next thing that pops in my mind after the tea obsession would be the size of the country and how this bunch of pansies once conquered the entire fucking globe. This tiny little place conquered the whole globe. You expect me to believe that?
I know, we're awesome, aren't we? But seriously though, it wasn't the whole globe. It was Ireland, India, Australia, Canada, Burma, a load of islands, some of Africa, and a handful of Middle Eastern countries. We still actually have 14 overseas territories.
I can believe that people are drinking black tea to try and show off to their friends. I can believe, okay, Earl Grey might be a real person and somehow he's just paid everyone to keep him off the internet. I can believe that. But this tiny little bunch of pansies conquered the entire world? You expect me to believe that? When you have people out there who sound like I blabber? When you have people out there with Scouse accents? I mean, when you look at England, I can understand how London's a real place. Okay, it's this huge city and it's a really cool place. I like London. I go there all the time. I've not been in a little bit, but it's somewhere I frequent. My girlfriend's from London, so I understand, okay, that's a real place. I can understand it. But Northern England? Places like Liverpool, Manchester, Stoke-on-Trent, Newcastle? You expect me to believe that these places are real? Not a chance in hell. I'm no fool. I'm not gullible. I'm not going to believe those places are real just because you tell me that they are.
Yes, I do, and I've been to all those places that you've mentioned. In fact, I've been from the bottom of England to the top and back to the bottom again, all within 24 hours. In 2014, I raised money for the Miscarriage Association by travelling to all 20 Premier League football grounds within 24 hours. We did it with 30 minutes to spare. So believe it or not, I do leave this office. And I can confirm that all those places are real, and by extension, England is real.
Can you imagine getting out of your bed every morning and sounding like you were from Liverpool? Can you imagine going on with your day? How do you get past saying good morning to your friends or family who are in the house with you? You wake up, pour your cereal, pour your cup of black tea, and you look around you and you say to your mum, oh, good morning, and you hear what comes out of you, and you hear how she responds, and you somehow manage to get on with your day. You somehow manage to leave the house and go about your day feeling good about yourselves. Yeah, right. No one. How can you do that when you're from there? That makes no sense to me.
Well, my brother-in-law's from Liverpool, and I can understand him pretty well, so no issue there.
And as much as it's hard to believe they conquered the globe, but see, the hardest part of that to believe is the fact that they somehow beat Scotland. And I've talked about whether Scotland was real or not in a previous video, and I brought this point up then as well. Somehow, those pansies, most of whom sound terrible, absolutely terrible, somehow they beat us. You expect me to believe that?
Well, we didn't beat you. You beat us, and you were outnumbered 3-1. How do you not know that as a Scot? We were eventually joined in a union which stands for this day, although maybe not much longer.
You know, there's this guy I look up to a lot, and his name is Chael Sonnen, and he once put out on Twitter, he put out a tweet and he said, if the Irish are so tough, why do they speak English? And at the time I thought, haha, good point, and I repeated that quote numerous times to other people. But now that I'm thinking about it, maybe we've got it all wrong. Maybe the fact is, England's not a real place. Maybe they never did conquer Ireland. Maybe that never happened. I mean, I'm going to need to investigate whether or not Ireland's a real place in a future video. I will get to that. I have a whole list of countries I'm going to be investigating.
Oh, can't wait.
Ireland's certainly going to be one of the next few, but this makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, you expect us to believe that the English beat the Irish and the Scottish. I mean, maybe the Irish, maybe they were all just that drunk that the English managed to kill them all when they were falling over or asleep. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know.
The history of England and Ireland is a long and complex one. England had rule over Ireland for about 800 years, until Ireland became its own country again in 1922.
But to think that they actually beat them in all-out war and beat Scotland as well, and then beat the rest of the world, being from this tiny little place, it's just very unbelievable if you ask me. It's not believable. You know, if you were to sit down and write out a script for a movie or write a book, you would never come up with that. You would never in a million years make up that this tiny little place with this little population could just suddenly dominate the entire world. Who would write that? It's so unbelievable. No one would go for that. Maybe 12-year-olds would, but no one over the age of 12 was going to fall for that.
All of that absolute tosh still doesn't mean we're not a real country.
You know, another thing that was pointed out to me was this whole Brexit shenanigans. And of course Scotland's involved in that as well. It's not just England, but the whole thing is very curious, and it all happened in England, I suppose. It was England voted more to leave the EU than anyone else. I mean, I voted to leave the EU too. But the whole mess, how badly this has all been handled, the fact we're not out of the EU yet, maybe England isn't real. Maybe that's why Brexit negotiations have gone so bad. Maybe that's why we haven't left the EU yet, because there's nothing to pull out of the EU. There's nothing to actually move and be its own place, and if we were to move out and be our own place, we'd have to establish trade deals with other parts of the world, okay? England would have to establish trade deals with America and other countries. And how can they do that if they're not real?
Yeah, the issue there isn't that we aren't real, it's that there's a 50-50 divide between the whole nation and the government whether we should stay or leave. I'll agree on one thing though, the whole thing is a mess.
It would explain a lot if it turned out that England wasn't real. I mean, I'm not convinced either way. I mean, places like London are fantastic. I love London. And there's a lot of good and a lot of believability about that. Even the way they speak very proper, and it's okay. But when you start moving up the country, when you start going to North England, that's a whole different ballpark. So maybe the issue here isn't that England's fake. Maybe it's that parts of England are fake. That is maybe where I'm gonna fall here, because I don't think that England as a whole is fake. But I'm also not convinced that England as a whole is real. But I could believe that parts of England are fake. And so that is my verdict for this video.
Wow, talk about falling on the fence and not budging. Well, hasn't this been delightful? A glorious look into the mind of RagReynolds, if nothing else. I await his other fake country videos with anticipation. Right, that brings an end to another Tinfoil Tuesday episode. Thank you so much for joining me. If you liked it, please do drop a like and subscribe. I have been Simon Dan. Have yourselves a fantastic week, and I'll see you all on Friday, where the Patreon voted video winner gets a run out. See you all then.